What's up, YouTube? We're back with another Meross product review. This time we're taking a look at the smart Wi-Fi thermostat, the MTS300. This thermostat should be relatively easy to install. We can take a quick look here at the compatibility and seeing that it is compatible with single or multi-stage heating and cooling systems. We take a look at some of the features here. It says it's easy to install. There's remote access, voice control, smart schedule, built-in energy savings, and of course over-the-air updates. So we're going to start things off here by opening the box, taking a look at what is contained inside, and then we'll get into the installation portion and hooking it up to the Meross application. Alright, let's break the seal on this and crack it open. Here we're met with the fact that this is a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi only supported. We set it up with the Meross app and can see that a C wire is required. If you don't know what that means, stay tuned. We'll be taking a look at that as we replace our existing thermostat. Moving on, we open the box and we are met with the user manual. Go ahead and set that off to the side for now. And then here we have the unit itself. It's looks like a pretty nice size here. Not too really thick, it's pretty light. It's got the plastic covering to protect the front of the unit for shipping. And here we have all of our pins that will connect to the plate, which I presume is going to be inside the box here. Yep, there it is. So we'll affix this plate here to our wall. It's got a nice built-in leveler, so you can ensure that the unit stays nice and even on your wall. That's a nice feature. Got your screw holes here so that you can affix it to the wall. And then we have all of our different coded connectors for the wiring of your AC unit. And include some wall anchors and screws. And optionally, a mounting plate, which you may or may not need. In my house, I don't think this is going to be needed, so we'll set that to the side. And then we also have some stickers that come with the unit that helps labeling of the wires that we're going to be seeing here momentarily as we replace our other thermostat. Alright, we're going to begin here by replacing the existing unit. There's nothing functionally wrong with this particular unit here. I think I would just prefer to have this upstairs where my other thermostat is located. I have dual zoned heating and cooling in this house. Interestingly enough, this particular unit that I'm replacing is about the exact same size as that one. So I should have no problem swapping this out. If we go ahead and take this one off, we can see that the plates are about identical. The pinholes don't quite line up, and I wouldn't use this one here anyway, since it doesn't come or go with this unit. But here, when we pull down the plate, we can see we have our wiring all within, and if I recall correctly, I think the blue wire is the C wire, and yes, it is. I have another video here on my YouTube channel that explains a little bit more about what this C wire is and how to wire that up at the unit in the basement. So give that a look if you need to. But we're going to go ahead and start by removing this plate, pulling everything out, and then if needed we will relabel all of our wires. Alright, and before we get started, we're going to go ahead and cut power off to this thermostat. So I'm going to go downstairs to here. There is my first floor, so we're just going to go ahead and pop that guy off. And it's off. So we're going to go ahead and take that off. It was something I realized after removing the first two screws. So we'll go ahead and continue removal. There we are. Now I've kind of lucked out here. I'm going to pull that out. I have 3 wall anchors that look like they're probably going to match up nicely with the new plate. So I'm not going to have to change much there, which is pretty cool. Alright, I'm going to go ahead, disconnect these, and then we'll situate the camera here a little bit differently so we can watch how we wire up the new panel. Alright, so pull this out a little more. The coloring of the wires is pretty self-explanatory here. We have R for red, W for white, Y1, which is going to be yellow, G for green, and then we have our C wire, which is the blue colored wire. So everything pretty much matches up, minus B for blue for the C wire, but with that, I don't think we're going to have to really label these wires too much at all, which is nice. So I'm going to go ahead and start pulling out the old here. We have our white. I yank that out a little bit more. We got our red, and all I'm doing here is using a flat head to pull the connector out so it loosens it up, so it's not pinching my wire inside of each of these terminals here. See, like there, and just pull it, push it down, and I'm using a pair of needle nose pliers here just to kind of pull the wire out. Simple as that. G for green, push down, and pull out. And then we'll do the same for yellow here. Boom. Alright, now, after you get the old plate off, we can put the new one on here. You'll want to also be careful that your wire doesn't get sucked back into the wall, because that would be a bad day for you. It goes more or less right here on the side, so be mindful of that. You don't plug your wires into the terminals in the front of the unit of the plate. You do it there on the side. So here we go. We're going to start hooking this up. First things first is putting your wires through the mid part there. Okay. And then we'll put in our red. And you just slide it right in there, like so. And then we have our control next. Just want to do that. Next, I'm going to plug that in. I could probably clip these down a little bit. I'm going to try not to do that. Boom. There is our C. And now we have our green. Up next. So we're going to go there. Like that. Now, he's all the way in. We have yellow. Go ahead and put our yellow in. And this one I'm going to straighten out a little bit more. There we go. Yellow. Let's insert our yellow. yellow is in. Okay, that leaves our white almost done. And now, in order to get the white in, I'm going to pull this through a little bit more, like that. See? Get that more on the back side. And then for the white, I am going to turn him a little bit like this. And then we will insert the white like that. And our wiring is complete. So not too bad there, pretty easy. Now before I'm going to mount this onto the wall and feed all of the wiring back in, I'm going to go ahead and connect our Meross thermostat. Make sure that that all snaps in nicely into the female side of the mounting plate here. And then we'll go turn on our power downstairs. Make sure that this comes on nice and good, and then if everything looks okay, we'll button it up. All right, here we go. Snapped in very easily, no problem there whatsoever. Bring the camera down a little bit now, and let me go turn on the power downstairs. And it's on. So there we have it. Looks pretty good. All right, we're going to move on to the next step then of hooking this up to the application. All right, so here we are at the application, and to add a new device, I'm going to click the plus in the upper right-hand corner, whereupon I am met with an allow option to seek out any new Meross devices. It automatically detects the new Meross thermostat and asks how the terminals have been plugged in. So we're going to click our red, our control, our green, our yellow, and white, and continue on. I do have a forced air unit, and I'm going to leave that as default here. Click next. And now it would like to access my home data to proceed setting this up as an accessory. So I click allow here, and here it's asking me to make sure that my phone is connected to Wi-Fi and that the LED on the device itself is blinking slowly, which it is. We can't see that here on the screen, but in fact it does appear to be ready. And in order to add the accessory, I'm going to come over to the unit and scan the code on the top. It tells me that it requires some additional type of setup, but I click OK, and it moved on to the next screen for me, where I'm allowed to continue to set up of the thermostat. By continuing onward, it's doing some more configuration work. Now it's asking me if I'd like to give the thermostat a name, to which I'm going to go ahead and call it the Meross thermostat. This way, if I need to refer to it as such when I set up Alexa, I can do so. And I'm going to click Done. All right, it's finishing up some last configuration steps here and tells me, congratulations, your thermostat is now ready. Here it's asking me if I would like to share with third-party services, things like Alexa or any kind of Google smart home devices. I go ahead and click yes, just to see what options it presents me with. I don't feel like setting that up right now, so I'm going to go through and look at the home screen of the Meross app. It seems to offer some sort of security settings feature. I haven't really played with this here a whole lot, but I assume that perhaps if it detects motion while you're not home, it can issue a trigger and let you know that maybe there was some motion inside your home when you weren't around. I'm going to go ahead and click off of that and maybe look at that another time. Going into the thermostat itself, it is currently turned off, so I'm going to turn it on. This is my first time here in the application, so it looks kind of very similar to that of the other thermostats I've played with, but I do like the UI interface here. Very easy to navigate, turning up the thermostat up or down. Went ahead and set it to 73. Looks like there's some options where you can set a schedule. You can set a comfort level. Presumably when you're at home, it will stay within the confines of what you define for comfort. After the fact, I went ahead and set that to my preferred temperature setting so it maintains that when I'm here in the house. And then I decided to play with the schedule a little bit and take a look at the fan mode here. It's set to auto. I'd like to keep it on auto and not have it run constantly. And yeah, that's about it here. I'm just trying to familiarize myself with the navigation of the application at this point in time. Now that I have my thermostat set up and I'm using it for the first time, I'm going to delete out any of the schedules that it created here for me by clicking that schedule button and reset all of that, and come back and play with this app some more, kind of understand it a little bit more. But yeah, that's where we're at. This is the setup of the Meross thermostat. I will use it here for a couple of weeks, get myself familiarized with the setup. I will compare the temperature of the home that it detects and compare that to my ThermPro thermostats that I have laying out throughout the house and see how consistent they are reading. And we'll be back with a full-on out review of the unit. And until then, I'm going to go ahead and put the thermostat up on the wall and mount it on. I did actually end up having to drill another hole because the wall plates were slightly off from one another. But that's okay. It wasn't too much work there. I'll show you what that looks like here. And there we have it. Install complete. It's connecting back to the Wi-Fi and adjusting to the temperature that I set on the app. And as simple as that, we have our new Meross thermostat installed. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Stay tuned. I'll post an update to how well the thermostat has been working for me. If this is something that is of interest to you, there is a link in the description below where you can get a discount on the purchase of this thermostat. And if you liked the video, I would appreciate a thumbs up and or a comment. Thank you everyone for watching. Have a great day.